Hi, welcome to For Your Home. I'm Sloan Rudder.
And I'm Vicki Payne. Landscaping is to the outside of a house what interior design is to the inside.
And for all great projects, you've got to start with a good plan. So we'll share with you how we got this showplace landscaping up to speed with help from our guest, Billy Stiles.
And then I'll show you how you can add some color to those natural areas with some great container gardens. Plus, we've got a craft project that'll let you commemorate your new home or your existing home.
And some tips for planting bulbs so you can keep your garden in color all season long.
It's all coming up today on For Your Home.
For Your Home is made possible by
Anderson Hardwood, committed to producing distinctive, environmentally responsible hardwood flooring while helping to create a better planet for today and tomorrow. For more information, go to andersonfloors.com. Anderson, naturally.
and by Ames. Ames True Timber has offered innovative landscape products since 1774, providing non-powered lawn and garden tools, wheelbarrows and lawn carts, watering products and decorative accessories, including planters. And by Riverside Furniture.
It takes a lot of skilled workers and great ideas to build and complete a show house. While dozens of craftsmen are busy working on the inside of the house, a team of landscapers and stonemasons are turning mud into a luscious garden. Now this looks like a fun piece of equipment to operate. It really helps speed up the landscaping process. We've saved as many trees as possible to retain a more natural environment. Everywhere you look, there's red clay and mud. Turning this lot into a garden retreat is no easy task.
First impressions are always important, but especially when you're talking about the front yard of a show house like this one. It started with a plan and some expert advice from organic gardener Billy Stiles. Take a look at what he had to say to Mom about this front natural area.
All right, great. Thanks, Eric. Now we've got a great design here for our front yard, and we want to try to keep this front part, most of it, in a natural state. So my good friend organic gardener Billy Stiles is here to show me what trees I can keep and which ones I can't. Hey Billy, I see you're already working away here.
Working away, trying to get everything cleaned up.
Okay, well what about these two? Let's start right here. This is a great maple,
It is a maple, and actually these are two shoots from an earlier tree. But one of the problems we see here, Vicki, is that the trees are rubbing against each other.
Yeah.
Now that's going to open up the bark and open up for infestation.
So anytime you see two rubbing, they gotta go.
You always keep those cut off.
Okay.
But this again is one of the issues here where this tree's died out, and these are just offshoots, so that's one reason it's really got to go.
Okay, so these two have got to go.
Got to go.
I've got 2 or 3 beautiful black cherries on this deal, and I'm going to be able to keep them, right, Billy?
No.
Billy, you're killing me.
Let me show you why. A lot of people like these trees, but we call them pretty much a trash tree, and you can look up here, a lot of the disease, from damage from the boards has already occurred all the way down to the trunk. It's got to go out.
Okay, well I know the tree may die, but what if I just want to take my chances and go ahead and leave it here for a while until it finally dies?
You're going to let everything start spreading out to the other trees, then you're going to have a bigger problem on your hands.
Okay, so one rotten tree spoils the forest, huh?
Exactly right.
All
But
right.
it also feeds the forest.
Oh, there you go. That's always a good sign. All right, so you're going to go through and tag all the trees that I get to keep.
I'm going to tag everyone, like I've already tagged this one here.
Okay.
I've already tagged those there that need to come out, and we'll have the builder do that before the new folks move in.
Okay, now out in the front, I want to have, even though it's a natural area, I want to get some color bushes based on my design and some manuals. Let's go take a look at that area. Now, Billy, in our landscape design here, I have some plans to put some beautiful shrubs around the front of this natural area and some annuals for color. What kind of preparation are we going to have to do to keep it natural, but still have some color?
Understand our sunlight first.
Okay.
To pick a plant, we need to know how much sunlight we're getting or how much shade we need.
Okay,
and that's key.
We don't know that unless we spend all day here. Is that what we got to do?
Have a picnic on the porch and you can continue to see what's going on all day long.
Okay, I'll take that job.
Take a day off.
Now, we have cleared out this forest, and across the street, that gives us a good idea of exactly what this piece of land used to look like before we started building this house.
Heavily dense, and you can see all the trunks of the trees are high, the canopy's high, somewhat like we have here, which is now opening up this natural area to different sunlight, different microclimate.
Is that going to cause a problem for these trees?
Sure it will. It can actually bake the bark on the trees and make it blister. Do a lot of damage.
Sort of like the first time you go to the beach in the summer, you got to be careful, huh?
Exactly right.
Okay.
You got to be careful.
All right, so once we've determined how much of a light factor that we've got going for ourselves, what kind of plants can we use if we end up kind of just a little sun, a little shade?
You can start with rhododendrons, azaleas. Now each one of those are going to want a different sunlight. You know, a lot of people will take an azalea and put it up close to the tree, when in reality it should be out away from the tree because we have a thing called tree drought. They're competing for moisture and water as well as the sunlight.
Okay, and how about rhododendrons?
Rhododendrons are a great plant. Love rhododendrons. They're going to want to be well drained. They get phytophthora. Make sure that you get them planted right.
Okay, now this ground is pretty hard. Okay, we've been driving trucks over part of it and all of that. Do we have to do any kind of prep to this ground whatsoever underneath the trees?
Well, under the trees, we don't want to do a lot of digging because we're going to damage the root systems.
Okay.
We might want to clean a little bit of the surface off and then come back in with maybe a couple inches of mulch. More is going to cut off the air circulation of those trees. Big mistake a lot of people do.
Yeah, most people say like 3-4 inches.
Oh yeah, keep it small, let the tree breathe. You'll be a lot better off for it.
Okay, now I want to do some annuals, and I'm telling you right now, nobody's going to want to dig in this red clay because it's going to get hard as a rock. What do we have to do for those annuals?
Well, first thing we want to do is to make sure the sunlight factor is there where we do it. I like to get at least 18 to 24 inches, which is quite deep. Most people say, wow, I'm going to dig that much. We want to make sure that the water gets in and gets away from the root system.
Okay.
We want to use a good organic mulch to incorporate in with the native soil.
Now, Billy, you're going to have 18 inches of this soil down, and then we're going to be able to put our annuals in. Will we mulch over the top of that?
Lightly mulch over that, shape them up, you'll be ready to go.
Okay, now how come every time you come to visit me, you leave and I'm left with a big old long list of things that got to be done?
Because the truth makes a great gardener, Vicki.
Chances are that if you enjoy gardening, then you enjoy garden art. Take a look at these beautiful stepping stones. Aren't these wonderful? Now you can find these in your retail store for up to $100, but I'm going to show you a great way that you can create your own. We've got lots of different designs to choose from, and Mom and I couldn't really make up our mind because we're doing a butterfly garden back here, but we loved this beautiful pine cone one. Isn't this beautiful? I really like it a lot. Okay, getting started. You're going to start with your mold. We're going to work with the pine cone one like I said, and we're going to actually be working with cement to make our mold. So you're just going to get a bag of cement from your local home store. And now the fun part, it's time to get messy and mix our cement. Take our plastic bag, and you know me as a mom, I'm always trying to come up with an easier way, a less messy way to do things. So, get my bag in position here, and I'm going to slowly pull this bag off. The faster you do it, the more dust you create. So just pull that off. Add our water right to the cement. And then we're going to close up our bag. And then apply our strap. And this just hooks on like a little belt. Now the fun muscle part. We're going to mix this 4 ways, each direction, and that's it. You're just really letting the gravity take its work and do all the work for you. And turn it the other way. And mix it. See, nice and easy, just nice rocking motion. Now once your cement is mixed, you're ready to prep your mold. And all you want to do is make sure that there isn't any debris inside of your mold. Make sure it's clean surface. And then just take a spray vegetable oil, just an inexpensive spray, and just give it a nice coat, just as if you were coating a pan. Think of it that way. We're baking a stepping stone today. All right, you'll notice that I have this sitting on level ground, and I also have added a piece of plywood underneath that. That's just so it stays nice and sturdy and level for us to set. We're going to take our strap off our bag, and then, just like pouring cake into a pan, we are going to pour it directly into our mold. And you can stop along the way and just sort of shimmy the cement down into the grooves. See how that just flattens out for you? Wiggle it in. Now you can also tap the sides of it and make sure that you get any of these tiny, see these little air bubbles come up to the surface? Just tap those out, that's what you want. Now you're gonna let this set up for a couple of days, then go ahead and pop it right out of your mold, place it in your garden, and wait about a week before you start walking on it. Now, if you look at some of the finished samples that we have, this is the pine cone one that we just did. I love that one. I think it is just so perfect for back here. But you'll notice that we've got some different colors. We've got a variety of colors happening, and that was done with just a color additive that you actually add to your cement. So if you want to create a different color, you can just add the additives to it. The best part about this is that you make it yourself, and you can also personalize it. You could put the year that the house was built, carve that into it, or you could even do your child's handprints.
This show house is located in a beautiful, eco-friendly neighborhood. Most homeowners are going to keep a lot of the area around their houses in the natural state like this. But you know, it can get to be a little bit boring. Doesn't have to be that way. You can add a lot of interest and color, just like this. Now that's what I'm talking about. Now maybe you have a natural area in the front of your house and it could use a little punch of color and interest. I've got a solution for that too. Come on, let me show you. Now this is a great container. Take a look at it. This is what we call an urn shape, and it's made out of a lightweight material. It's like fiberglass so that it's easy to move around, but the best part is we can leave it out in our garden year-round and it won't crack like terracotta will. Now, right in the center of our container, because remember we're looking for something to light up that corner of the front yard, we want something with height. So I've selected this sky-high pencil boxwood, and we've got it right in the center. The great thing about these pencil boxwoods is they don't get very wide. This is pretty much as wide as it's going to get, maybe a couple of inches more as it grows up, but it will get as high as 8 to 10 feet tall. Now you can control that by simply pruning it at whatever height you want to keep it at. Now you don't always have to use these containers either. Take a look at the front of our house. On each side of our planter box, we have placed one of these on each side of it. See how great they look? That's perfect because it's a narrow confined area. Now, here in our container, I've already put some high quality potting soil in here. I've mixed together some really good plant food, and I like to work with a time release kind. That's the reason I only have to do it like once or twice a year. Mix it up with your soil. I've got our center plant located, and take the time, back off, look at it. Make sure it's right in the center because that's where you want it to be. Once you're happy with that, you're ready to start adding some more plants. Now, I selected these beautiful plants. These are cabbages. They're called kale. They're ornamental kale. They're not to be eaten. Now, this one is called a purple peacock. See the purple veining and inside of each one of the leaves? Isn't that gorgeous? Now, with this, I'm going to mix together in this container these beautiful purple pansies. I've got a couple of different colors, and then I'll put some salmon ones in there, and that's really going to make the color pop. So this is a great combination for the colors we're working with. But let's say you have more of a lighter palette in mind. You can get that same great kale in a white peacock, as they call it. See how pretty and white it is? Then instead of adding the purple, you could add the white into it and have a much lighter, airier look for your yard.
And you know, that's the wonderful thing about gardening, is that you can combine any colors that you want to. They're always lovely together, and you can change them out and make a match throughout the season. Now, when I'm working with my potting soil, I like to put it in a wheelbarrow like I am here. That way I can mix it up really good if I need to add any nutriments to it. And then use a shovel instead of a trowel to fill up your container. It's a lot faster and a lot easier, especially these new little shovels like this one. They're really fun to work with. Now, I'm going to spread my dirt around here. This one, if you'll notice, see on the bottom of these, see how the little ones turn dark? Well, as these grow, they lose some of their bottom leaves like this, and that's fine because we're going to fill in underneath them with pansies, so we need that air and space for them to grow. Bring it on out. Look at the bottom of this. This is the biggest mistake most gardeners make, is they take this and pop it right inside of here. Don't go that route, because these need to come off. This has actually been in the pot too long. It's become root bound, and the roots are growing in a circle. If you don't tear that out, they're going to just keep growing in a circle. They'll girdle the plant and it won't do well at all. Now, I'm going to tuck this into the side right there. I'm going to come over to the other side, take another one. Again, peel that off the bottom of it. I'm going to tuck it down, and what I'm trying to do is divide my pot into threes. These are going to get quite large, so I want to make sure that I don't overcrowd the shrub. Take that off, and then I'm just going to continue going around this pot, adding these as I go. See all that vermiculite inside of there? That's what that white material is. It's used to make the pot lighter weight and not to take as much soil, so we don't want to put a lot of that into our pot. Okay, put it in where you need it. Now all you need to do is fill in with more dirt, and then go around and place your pansies exactly the way you like it, distributing that color so that you get a nice rounded display of your plants and your color. Just the punch this natural area needed.
Now, not only do Mom and I care about how this front yard looks when it's a show house during the tours, but we also want this home to look beautiful all the time, because remember, eventually a real family is going to live in this house, and we want them to be able to look out to their front yard in this natural area and see little pops of color here and there. So the best way for Mom and I to achieve that is to plant some bulbs. Now, if you haven't used bulbs before in your yard, they're really easy to work with. They're virtually low maintenance, and they come in lots of different colors and lots of different varieties. In fact, did you know that there's 6 different types of bulbs? The bulb that we're going to be working with today is this great little daffodil here. It's a beautiful white color, and this is what they refer to as a true bulb. So what they mean by that is the shape of it is this great little teardrop shape. It has scales, which is this outer layer here that's just a protectant. It's almost scales just like on an onion. And then this area right here is what they call the basal plate. And this is what actually houses our roots for us. And you always want to make sure that when you plant roots, that you plant it with, or bulbs, the root goes down, okay? So, first step is, you want to take your area and go ahead and rake away your mulch. And then we're going to dig our hole. Now, we only need to dig our hole 2 to 3 times the size of our bulb. So if the length of the bulb is this, you want to go about 6 inches, okay? Now when you're planting your bulbs, do yourself a favor. You don't need to plant them in a row like little toy soldiers, or like maybe if you were to plant pansies, you would think that way. We don't need to do it like that. What you want to do is just plant them in a little cluster. That way it's a real burst of color. It kind of just gives it a better look. Take your bulb, remember, root down. Now, the daffodils that we're planting, these are going to come up for us in the spring because we're planting them in the fall. But there's also bulbs that you can plant in the spring that will come up in the fall as well. We're going to take some bulb food. There's lots of different varieties of this, so you really need to pay attention to the manufacturer's instructions. This only calls for about a teaspoon. Sprinkle this around. You do this at the time that you plant your bulbs, and you also do this again once your bulbs first start to bloom. Now, this is the important part. This is what I call the insulation. You're going to go ahead and put our dirt back in around our bulbs. Make sure that you cover them up entirely. Get nice, good coverage there. And then you want to make sure too that you get your mulch back over on top. Lots of mulch, because this is the insulation. That's what's going to let these bulbs grow nice and hardy. So remember, they're easy, they're low maintenance, and lots of different colors and varieties available, so you can have color in your yard all year long.
Coming up next, a classic FYH decorating tip.
Now there's two ways to tie any room together. First of all, you can do it with paint. The second way, you can do it with fabric. We decided to do both for this. This bathroom and our bedroom are painted the same color. Then we made shower curtains out of the same fabric we used for the bedspread and for the window treatment in the room. Now, to hang these, we decided that we would just put in little eye hooks screwed directly into the ceiling. And then we've got regular drapery hooks on the back. And then those are just going to hook right through the little rings and hangs like that. Pretty simple, huh? Now, in order to be able to keep these drapes back out of the way while people take a shower, we decided that we needed to add some tie backs to it. So we have our tie backs. We have just attached it to the wall with a couple of staples, and then we're going to take our curtains and just push them right through like that. Bring it right down and straighten it out and make sure all your pleats follow all the way from the top to the bottom. Now, for the artwork in this room, we found two prints. They were really affordable. Aren't they great? They're like a little European village. And so we're going to just hang those right here. And since we're working with two small prints in a narrow area, we decided that we would hang them directly over each other for that special effect that we wanted. And that way it'll fill up this space really nicely. And that way it'll fill up this space really nicely. And that way it'll fill up this space really nicely. And that way it'll fill up this space really nicely. And that way it'll fill up this space really nicely. And that way it'll fill up this space really nicely. And that way it'll fill up this space really nicely. And that way it'll fill up this space really nicely. And that way it'll fill up this space really nicely. And that way it'll fill up this space really nicely. And that way it'll fill up this space really nicely. And that way it'll fill up this space really nicely. And that way it'll fill up this space really nicely. And that way it'll fill up this space really nicely. And that way it'll fill up this space really nicely. And that way it'll fill up this space really nicely. And that way it'll fill up this space really nicely.